It takes me longer, too, because I go to Atlanta, Georgia first, and then I go down.
Oh, you got somebody in Atlanta you're going to see?
I'd like to call a meeting of the Development Review Board to order, April 2nd, 2013. Let me introduce the members of the board here this evening. Charlie Koukouris, Dan Mullenberg, Milt Surdam, Bill Barney, Ron Alderman, Barry Hurst. I'm Charles Kopp. Dan Monks is our zoning administrator, and Linda Bermudez is our recording secretary.
Okay, we're going to hold the minutes from last time for our next meeting. Some pages were missing from those minutes, so we'll reprint those and get those to you for next time. We ask anybody who speaks this evening to sign the witness sign-up sheet right across this way there, and it includes the following oath statement. I solemnly swear or affirm under the pains and penalty of perjury that the statements I make, testimony I give, and other evidence I submit to the board at the board's public hearing held on this date shall be true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief. Again, that's right across the way. We ask you to sign that before you address the board this evening. Next item on the agenda is disclosure of any ex parte communications or conflicts of interest regarding the matters before the board this evening.
Have any? Don't see any.
Okay. Our first hearing this evening is Merchants Bank, 210 Northside Drive. Applicant is seeking a development plan and design plan approval for the conversion of a former restaurant building in that location. This is the second hearing. After the first hearing, the board did grant preliminary approval with some requests for some changes. I believe those changes were made and submitted to the board, and if you have any questions or concerns, Mr. Edmond is here to address those.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having us back. Or I should say, having the project back. It's my first time down here in front of a number of you, probably in a number of years. There were, if I can get this up, Nicole Kesselring from our firm had been down earlier and walked you through the project, and I guess there were 3 items that were left on the to-do list agenda, so I'll just address those. I have 3 exhibits here. The first is the exhibit that you saw last time with parking both in this corner and that corner, and the request was to pull that back. And plans have been submitted to Dan to that effect. What we have done is we've pulled the parking spaces back here in the corner and eliminated these in this corner to satisfy the requirement. The second issue was labeling the type of trees, and the trees are now 3-foot-high row of native white cedars. So I believe that should address that issue. And the third and final issue was that dealing with the overall height of the building and the slope of the roof. The height of the building is shown in 2 locations at 34 foot 8 inches from below the bottom of the sidewalk to the height of the peak of the roof. And the slope on the roof would be 10 vertical to a 12 horizontal. And with that, I'll open it to questions.
Any questions? No? Are we from the audience? I guess we need a motion to close the hearing, go to the deliberative session.
I'll move to close the hearing, go into deliberative session.
Charlie?
I'll second it.
Charlie seconds it. All in favor?
Thank you. If you don't hear from me by mid-morning, give me a shout, and I'll let you know.
I suppose you know they are eager to get going.
Yeah. Well, I probably will be able to issue the decision tomorrow. So.
Oh, you will? Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Nan. Thank you very much to the board, too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next item, on our next and final hearing on our agenda this evening is Craft Producers on West Road by Camelot Village. These folks are seeking approval to hold a special event known as the Southern Vermont Art and Craft Festival. And there's a representative here this evening to speak to that request. This is the first of 2 required hearings, so preliminary review is in order this evening.
State your name, please.
My name is Charlie Dooley, and I'm here on behalf of craft producers for the Southern Vermont Art and Craft Festival.
You want to go over what you're going to do and what you're presenting to us this evening, please?
The event was held at Hildene in Manchester for many years until Hildene decided they no longer wanted to host events. And we saw an opportunity to move the show closer to our prime audiences, which are over in Albany and in the Berkshires. And we contacted the chamber and met Brian at Camelot, because that's the host of the Garlic Festival. And we spoke with the interested parties and got a great reception. Everybody's excited about having the event in Bennington. It's an art and craft festival. The artists themselves must be at the show. They make traditional and contemporary craft work in pottery, jewelry, photography, painting, sculpture, and woodwork. We also have a mix of specialty food producers, people who produce maple syrup and jams and honeys and hot sauces and smoked meats, cheese. And besides the actual marketplace of handmade products, we have entertainment. So during the weekend there'll be a face painter, and this year we're bringing in a Thomas the Train for little kids. And there's a food court with local food vendors selling food that the public at the show. And we'll have a band or 2. The hours are 10 to 5 Friday and Saturday, and they're 10 to 4 on Sunday. There will be probably 1 or 2 large tents on the green part of the Camelot Village. The parking is due west, the same way the Garlic Festival parks. And we will have individual people with their own 10 by 10 tents up and around the road surrounding the green. The entertainment and dining area will be over to the east part where the beautiful trees are, and have picnic tables there. And we've contacted the sheriffs for parking. We pretty well know the procedures for getting the people in and out safely, quickly, with no impediment to the people who live on the road up the hill. So,
any questions? Yes, Barry.
What do you have in the way of security, not counting your sheriffs? I think you got 2 sheriffs that are going to be directing traffic.
Yes.
But what do you have beside that for security? Anything?
Right now, we just have the 2 sheriffs. We spoke to them, and I've been doing this a long time. Certainly in Manchester at Hildene for 30 years, and also in Stowe. And if there's any wood around, let me knock on it. But we've never had an incident at the shows during the daytime. It's a pretty gentle crowd that we draw. It's not young, it's not raucous, it's not like a rock and roll concert. So during the day, our crowd over the 3 days is less than half of what the Garlic Festival is in 2 days. So the sheriffs thought that, one of them could actually be walking around the grounds part of the time, unless it's super busy, like at noontime, noon to 2, they probably wouldn't even require the 2 sheriffs directing traffic much of the time. So we think we're covered there with security.
Yes, Ron?
Am I correct in assuming someone is responsible for the complete cleanup?
Oh,
Grounds
absolutely.
back the way they're supposed to be and so forth?
I mentioned Hildene, and you folks probably have heard of Hildene. I've also put on shows at Shelburne Farms. We have a show at the Shelburne Museum. We've been at these venues for many years, and if we left a mess, we certainly would not be invited back. But we bring in 24 garbage cans. We put plastic bags in the garbage cans. We bring in 2 20, 30-yard dumpsters, and during the whole show, it's ongoing. We have staff who take the, little wheelbarrow, take the trash up to the dumpsters, and we keep staff over till Monday so we can go around the grounds and make sure everything's clean, including the parking area.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
One more thing. Sorry.
Go ahead, Ron.
Okay. Oh, just one more thing about security that Barry brought up. Of course, you saw the memo from the chief of police, which he's not recommends, he suggested that security have one law enforcement officer walk through the grounds all the time. Apparently, you think that is not necessary. The chief does, apparently.
Well, I certainly defer to the chief. If the chief feels somebody needs to be there, so be it.
Okay, thank you.
Dan?
How many vendors do you anticipate? I thought I saw 120. Where's that?
It's hard to say. It should be around 125, 130 this year.
And how many volunteers will be there for parking area control?
We're not like a chamber or a nonprofit, so it's difficult for us to secure volunteers. So we round up our kids, college kids, and other people who have come to the shows for years, and we have to pay them. But we have supervised parking
That's
in the
my point.
lot.
So how many people do you anticipate will be in the parking lot, keeping the cars flowing through the?
Up to 6 at peak times. And again, it's, we're not as busy as the Garlic Festival. 14,000 people in 2 days is an amazing crowd. If we do 6 in the 3 days, we'll be delighted.
Okay.
Charlie?
Where on the map is the places for the bathrooms where their guests will be able to go to the bathroom?
We probably didn't put that on the map. I think we probably put that up.
If I might, Brian Peak Center in Camelot. It's very similar to what's being done and has been done with the Garlic Fest. I mean,
Brian, you have to come up and sign in, get near the microphone, please.
would be similar to the arrangements with the Garlic Fest. Would they also, the people also have the privilege of using the restroom facilities in both buildings that are on the property? So it hasn't been a problem in the past with the 14,000, and with fewer people, I think it would probably be even less of a burden.
Yeah, I think we're thinking of bringing in 8 of them, 8 individual portables, including 2 for accessible. 6. And then with the additional restrooms inside the 2 buildings.
Just to clarify, the letter does, from the applicant, does say that they'd have a 1 trailer unit with men's and women's rooms and 8 additional plastic porta-johns, so they have committed to that.
Charlie, I think you mentioned in here about the sheriff would be doing the parking. What about traffic control on Route 9? Could you give us an idea what that's?
That's where the sheriffs would be.
Okay.
Interior, as soon as they make the turn in, we would take over from there. We would have a point person to direct them onto the
the way I read it, I thought
the pasture that's used for parking.
Okay.
And then once they're in there, they'd be directed by our staff to go to the proper area.
But we will have traffic control out there.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We just figured that the sheriffs would be out on the highway getting them in and out safely.
Good. Any other questions? Okay, I guess we need a motion to continue or
Move to continue.
continue?
We need a preliminary approval.
What about preliminary approval?
I'm sorry. I moved to
Preliminary
make
approval?
Preliminary
Yeah.
approval.
Okay.
Do we have to do 2 meetings on this?
Pardon?
Do we have to do 2 meetings on this? We do.
Did it go before you guys? Didn't go before
No.
the
No.
application review
No.
panel?
Do we need a second?
I'll second it.
Barry, a second. Ron makes a motion. All in favor? Okay, you have preliminary approval. You do have to come back for one more meeting.
Thank you. Would that be in 2 weeks?
2 weeks,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
And it should be very short, so.
Be sure, very short. Unless you,
Well,
if
thank you
have any
very much.
changes, you can bring them up then.
And we're looking forward to this in Bennington.
I've been to the one up at Hilding many times, so.
Next week you can do another plug, so hopefully more people see, even more people see it. Thank you very much. Unless there's any other business, we can adjourn to deliberative session.
Any,
Deliberative session.
Dan moves, Charlie seconds, all in favor? I need a motion to close the hearing.
Over here.
Bill moves, Barry seconds, all in favor? All right.